welcome to the first Virgin Voyage in Hall B. Thanks. There's tea behind you. Feel free to grab some if you want. Dr. Fraser will not mind, right? It's my honor to introduce Heidi Fraser to you, our first speaker down here. And Heidi will be speaking on East-West Psychology, Educating Revolutionary Agents of Change. East-West Psychology, introducing or educating revolutionary agents of change. Heidi.
Thanks, Jen. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Janice. Yeah, I actually changed my title a few days ago. I added a little piece to it. East-West Psychology, Educating Revolutionary Agents for Change for a Global Community. I thought that sort of went more in line with what we're trying to do. And actually, the title is sort of more like a ideal. It's sort of like, maybe this is what I'll discover in my research. I'd just like to begin with a few minutes of gratitude. I'd like to thank the committee for giving me the opportunity to be here today and present for you all. And I'd like to thank CIF for hosting us for the second year in a row. And everyone here who came out to support this community event. And in advance for your comments and feedback. So I think most everybody knows me, and if you don't know me, perhaps you've gotten an email or two from me. And today I'm going to offer you a glimpse of the budding fruits of my proposal, which hopefully will be accepted by the end of this semester. So I want to do my research that will expose EWP. I was like, I don't want to read my notes, but I'm going to read them. So I came to my research topic because of my own experience in EWP. I did the master's program, and I conceived an idea for a project that Wilbur might call an integral transformative practice. And I called that embodied spiritual recovery. And when I came into the PhD program, I deepened work on that project. And at the end of that paper for contemporary transpersonal theory, I sort of had this aha moment. I was thinking, like, wow, I wonder how other people are making meaning of their EWP experience. And then, aha, I found my topic. So, why do I want to study EWP? I have many purposes for the study, and my highest hopes and aspirations are to initiate curiosity or hopefully a conversation with the mainstream education system that's in place now, and hopefully inspire future studies of CIS in general or East-West psychology as well. Yeah, I've been saying EWP and CIS because I have a feeling everybody knows what I'm talking about. If I was presenting somewhere else, I'd probably talk more about those things. I would like to also collect data that's reflective of the non-traditional pedagogy and explore the learning processes of EWP graduates. And perhaps in doing so, reveal what an integrative education looks like. I'm saying integrative. I'll sort of tease that out in a little while, because sometimes saying integral, one might think Wilbur is that or Bindo. So there's a work I'm going to talk about in a few minutes that uses integrative education. I also hope the study will give a welcoming and reflective space for the participants where they can thoughtfully assess their education in EWP. And I'd like to investigate the nature of graduates' personal transformation and or healing, if that's going on here, and perhaps the potential for collective transformation and healing. Also, I really am curious to understand how graduates of EWP have practically applied what they've learned here. So I'll just give you a little context now for my research. And another inspiration for the study is reflecting on my own experience in the higher education system before my graduate studies. I began to end reading Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed. I've come to find that the majority of collegiate education offered publicly in the U.S. is centered on solely developing the intellect and, meeting desired assessment criteria. And there's some works I would like to share with you that support that. Most recently, in 2007, 2 former deans of Ivy League schools both came out with their own books. One, the former dean of Harvard, Harry Lewis, wrote Excellence Without a Soul, in which he asserts that his own school and others have lost something essential in their pursuit as educators and administrators, namely fostering students' self-discovery and igniting a search for greater meaning and purpose in life, and developing students who leave college as better human beings isn't really present. And former dean of Yale Law School, Anthony Cronin, wrote Education's End, and he argues a similar plight to Lewis, saying that as a forum for the exploration of life's mystery and meaning, that's sort of missing now in colleges. And lastly, a more recent book came out in 2011. It's called Academically Adrift, Limited Learning on Collegiate Campuses. And that's a longitudinal study that has some pretty shocking statistics. Despite the growing numbers of people going to school and the costs are going up and up and up, students are not coming away with critical thinking skills, complex reasoning skills, or writing skills that their employers are, wanting them to have. But there's hope. A book that's really important to my work right now is actually a response to a conference that was held in the same year as those deans wrote their books. And it was held at our school, and it was called Uncovering the Heart of Higher Education, Integrative Learning for Compassionate Action in an Interconnected World. And this conference sort of revealed that there is a growing interest in something else, so that's awesome. And the book, The Heart of Higher Education, A Call to Renewal, is sort of a response to that conference. Excuse me. So, the characteristics of an integrative education I drew from that work, The Heart of Higher Education. And it's actually, they drew it from Aurobindo, Wilbur, and also a work that is called Integral Education, but it's an edited version of a book. So it's basically, they were trying to synthesize a lot of information, and they came up with this. Characteristics of an integrative education, they seek to explore multiple perspectives, like we're doing. We have transpersonal, we have depth, we have eco-psychological. It includes first, second, and third person methodologies of teaching and learning. So if some of you maybe are familiar with Wilber's AQUAL model, it's just like the I, the we, the it, meaning like objective. And also it combines critical thinking and experiential feeling, which is something we definitely do at CIS. Acknowledges multiple ways of knowing, like our bodies have knowledge, there's intuitive knowing, it's not just the intellect. Also, integrative education seeks to weave together the self, culture, and nature, and honors various learning types. It also encourages an exploration of the non-rational side of human existence, working with your unconscious. And in general, it's just an education that seeks to recognize the whole being, the whole human being, and honor the place of the human in the earth community. So how do current education efforts address the whole human, mind, body, and spirit in ways that best contribute to our future on this fragile planet? And further, what would an education that serves the human cause look like? And this is kind of the question of the book. How can we renew the purpose and meaning, in other words, the heart of higher education? And I hope that, CIIS and East-West Psychology in particular might be one answer to that call, which is why I'm really excited about doing my research on the program and our graduates. So I'd like to share with you my research questions that I'm working with. And my main research question is, how do graduates of the East-West Psychology program experience the education as having affected their personal transformation and professional development? And the little sub-question I have to go with that is, what are the key elements identified by participants that contributed to the said transformation and professional development? So I just want to, define a few key terms now. I chose transformation instead of change because it sort of alludes to something more than just like, oh, I'm going to change clothes. It's more like a metamorphosis, like, caterpillar to a butterfly. But even transformation might not suit the question. Psychospiritual transformation might better suit the question because that's actually what EWP is supposedly offering to its students, so as a fostering of psychospiritual transformation. But I didn't want to get too deep into that right in the question. I wanted to let it unfold in the work. And so psychospiritual transformation to me is like human alchemy or soul alchemy. It's like it's like coming into a new relationship with life, re-envisioning what it means to be human. It's like now you can see life as an opportunity to grow and transform, like a journey towards greater wholeness and integration. And it's one that recognizes fluidity, energy, and impermanence, rather than static and unchangeable circumstance. And other ideas that sort of go along with this psychospiritual transformation. I say go along, but more like fit in with the idea of it. Because I'm not saying like this equals this, but it's just something to think about. There's a guy named Jack Mesereau who sort of kind of got the ball rolling in the Western scientific world in the 70s because he started noticing these women coming back to school, and they were doing more than just like learning from a book. They were having these changes in their life, and he called it a perspective transformation. And it's sort of like looking at your containing myth, reevaluating it, and adapting it new as you grow. And Jung's individuation is in line with psychospiritual transformation, I feel, too. So also part of it, I feel, is breaking free from the pressure to conform to societal norms and actually becoming an individual. It's psychospiritual transformation is like a multidimensional transformation. It's not just like, like I was mentioning, developing the intellect. There's many aspects of the human being that can be honored and at once. And I feel like it can have a quality of a leap, like I used the butterfly explanation, or it could be this gradual over a lifetime process that you're a part of. So, great, that was so perfect. I just want to close with this. It's a quote that was adapted from Frederick Buechner. He's a contemporary American writer and theologian. And I'm reading this because I feel like EWP has helped me find this. He says, vocation is the place where the heart's deep gladness meets the world's deep hunger.
I now have 10 minutes with you asking questions.
Yes, I would like to invite you all to share your questions or feedback, and if you don't get a chance to in these 10 minutes, I'll be here all day. Janice?
Everybody's got a research question, and they try to keep it neutral, but
Yeah.
would you share your behind-the-scenes hopes and expectations or beliefs about what you'll find once you talk with people? Or what your
Sure.
suspicions are?
Well, I mean, just reflecting on my own experience, I mean, coming here to study has not only been transformative and helped me develop professionally, but it's also sort of like helped me make my life. Like it made my life, and now I'm co-creating my life at the same time. And I'm wondering if people are going to have synchronistic experience around how they found EWP. I'm wondering if people feel like there's an adequate container for these things that are going on or not. That might be something that people don't want to hear about, but we need to hear about it so we can maybe do something better. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in looking at people, like, I hope to have people from sort of each generation of EWP, because, you know, there was EWP back when it was born, and then there was EWP in the 80s, and then there was the Danielle era, and now we're in a new era with Jorge. So I'm interested to see if there's similarities across the generations, really. And I also hope to do a survey that could be available to every graduate. You know, I want to do a mixed method. Is that
Okay, thank you.
okay?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I'm really excited that you're doing a project focused on our graduates, and it's something that I think all departments, CI should be doing, you know.
Yeah, every department,
so
yeah.
I think there's resources of the alumni office that's things like you're doing is a great service to our department. I was wondering, like, I heard like the word survey. Are you gonna try to survey all of our graduates, or are you gonna do a selection?
It's a high hope.
So you're gonna try to reach all of them.
I mean, that would be amazing.
Wonderful.
It's,
Okay.
you know, yeah, so I would hope to do a mixed method, you know, 10 or 12 people in the narrative tradition doing the interviews, and then supplement that with the bigger survey available to everyone.
Great. And how would you select the 10, 12?
Well, it'd likely be, well, I mean, I would hope to send it out with the survey, you know, sort of, to say, hey, I'm having 10 or 12 people as interviewees, co-researchers, and see who comes forward, but if not, it'll likely be a convenience sample. But, you know, I got Bauman on my team, Bauman Shirazi. He's not only a graduate of EWP, but he's also the archivist of the school.
Yep.
And so, I mean, he's going to be great for helping me unearth some of the older graduates that I may not have even known existed. So hopefully I'll have, you know, 2 from each generation. That was my hope. Yeah, what's your name?
I'm Sagi. I get your email.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you then also to compare the answers and things you find in EWP for like traditional Berkeley school or other schools and see
I mean,
them, or if someone else did a study there, or just to see the differences? Or?
I mean, that was an interest of mine, and actually when I did the pilot interview for my qualitative research class, my participant decided to just go there on their own. That's how they talked about their EWP experience. They were comparing it to their other experience in higher education. So that could unfold naturally, but I'm not going to like put it in the foreground of this study, but that's definitely a curiosity of mine too. Future studies too, maybe, doing with participants from each, like UC Berkeley and EWP, that would be awesome. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Ron. Since you're trying to focus on EWP as a transformative agent, have you given thought to separating out other such systems that may be in someone's life during the time that they're a student at EWP, like spiritual practice that they maybe had before, or therapy?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my idea, and I sort of have been working on my interview questions with my chair, it's what's called a semi-structured interview. So it's kind of like I have at most 8 sort of big questions, and my questions are sort of like, what was your life like before you found EWP? And then from their answers, I'd be able to ask follow-up questions to draw out more of their story. And then, you know, what was your life like during the program and things like that. And then what was your life since graduating? So hopefully, like some of those things will come out. But I can also ask follow-up questions in the moment of the interview to draw on that. I'm sort of curious on, you know, looking at it sort of from an integral approach, like heart, vital, body, mind, and spirit. So hopefully those areas will, I mean, it's in my case, that's, I mean, all those areas have been transforming and continue to do so. I'm sure they will till I die. But, yeah. Does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
5 more. Anyone else want to share anything? Craig?
This is a larger question that can be answered in 5 minutes. I'm going to ask it anyway. No pressure.
No pressure.
Our hierarchical modernist system of public education, you know, it's been complained about at least since Einstein bashed it. And nobody heard any of that, I guess. And so we've continued to make the same mistakes, you know, in public education. Why do you think that whatever it is, stuckness or pathology or whatever, why do you think it is so persistent that the deans of 2 prestigious schools have to write those kinds of books?
So why do I think it's been persisting? I think,
mean, in other words, why don't they welcome in the imagination and spiritual practices? And,
well, because they weren't automatons.
Ah.
No. No, I mean, it's probably related to administrators and money and creating the American public the way it's supposed to be for, you know, the people in control. I mean, that's me being a conspiracy theorist, I guess. But, I mean, it's reading the book. Call to hire. I guess Jason's doing his drumming.
It might be the building's heartbeat.
Maybe they heard me. They heard me about the automatons.
Yeah.
So I guess I lost where I was going. So, reading the book by Arthur Zajonc and Parker Palmer, you know, The Call to Renewal, it was really affirming for me because at the end of the book they have, it's not exhaustive either, it's just a whole bunch of examples of the way different undergraduate universities are sort of trying to incorporate more things. So it's a slow movement, slow moving out of pathology, I guess, but it's happening.
Can I say something?
Yeah, what's Joe?
Well, what Craig was asking was something along the lines of what I was thinking. I just read an article in the New York Times yesterday or the day before. It was about sort of the whole principle of philosophy versus science and scientism and sort of devaluing philosophy and elevating scientism. And in my mind, I think that might be an influence on how education is structured and the lack of these kinds of things you're talking about being included in education. And I was wondering, did those books address that, or those kinds of, that sort of elevation of scientism? And
Actually, Arthur Zajonc, he is the co-author of the book I was mentioning, and he's a physicist. So his whole thing is part of his call to renewal is, reassessing our sort of perhaps unconscious worldview that we live in this static, unchangeable universe. And, he's moving more towards sharing the new physics, recognizing the fully relational, interconnected world that we live in. So that's a big piece of it for sure. Okay. Masood?
Yeah, I hope nobody asked this question before because I was Jason. So, when I look at my EWP experience, I really find it very transformative. But I also can look at my undergrad, and it was very transformative too. I transformed to a totally new person after I graduated from my psychology bachelor program. And I it happened to me same. This question came to my mind that how you can control the effect of going into a program, psychology, any psychological program, and not get transformed. And then how do you want to control these when you're studying the transformative aspects of EWP?
So how am I going to control other transformations? Or what?
The transformation that can also happen in any other psychology programs.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I can control it. I think you're right, if someone's going to study psychology, it's likely they would transform in some way. I wanted to focus on EWP just in a sense to sort of, have something about what's going on here at CIIS come out, because I feel like that's missing.
So what comes to my mind is like you probably can have two or many different options. Two of them comes to my mind. Is like maybe you can focus on spiritual transformation, or you can wear your bias as your flag. You can say, there are other programs that I don't care about. I'm going to focus on the
Yeah, so I'm kind of just, the word I used in my research question is personal transformation, but I went on to sort of open that up to psycho-spiritual transformation, like human alchemy. So, yeah, I did. We can talk more about it at lunch. Thank you, everyone.